All right, folks, finally, it took long enough. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama have finally endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president. This video dropped this morning on social media at 5 a.m.
Kamala.
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi, you're both together. Oh, it's good to hear you both.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh, my goodness. Michelle, Barack, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
All right, folks, let's go to my panel. Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network show, joining us out of Detroit. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. Killa Bethea, communication strategist, normally out of D.C., but she's actually here in New Orleans at the National Urban League. All right, let's get right into it. Kelly, it took them long enough. Now, all these black folks been mad at me on social media. Oh, it's strategic. You don't know what they're doing. No. Obama came out praising President Joe Biden on Sunday and called for an open convention process. Then you see these stories by saying, well, they didn't want to put their thumbs on the scale. Well, hell, President Clinton, Hillary Clinton had no problem endorsing. So I'm sorry. I get all that. Damn that. This endorsement should have happened a lot earlier.
I completely understand where you're coming from, but I also understand the Obamas in that they have traditionally been very traditional in their endorsement style and strategy. And what I mean by that is, typically speaking, since Obama has been on the scene as president, he has not endorsed really anyone until they have officially been the Democratic nominee. So I respected his decision regarding that matter, but these are different times, and Harris needs all the help she can get as soon as she can get it. So I think that message rang loud and clear with the Obama camp, and they acted accordingly, and that's what you see here now. So, you know, we're here now. Let bygones be bygones. The endorsement's there. It's locked. We're loaded. Let's just go.
You know what? I get it. I get the whole traditional thing here, Matt, but ain't nothing traditional about this race. And I just think, as all the potential, potential candidates begin to endorse her, fine. After that all happened on Monday, this should have came on Tuesday. And you saw what happened by the afternoon on Monday, I believe. Even Nancy Pelosi had to endorse Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but I mean, frankly, I think that's kind of much ado about nothing. I think they've made their endorsement. I think the Democratic Party has to approach this, you know, differently than they would in a normal cycle. However, the Obamas are leaders in this party, and as long as the endorsement came early enough for it to matter, which is now, I think it's enough. I don't know their reasons for withholding that. I did see in the chat somebody said they were calling for an open convention. That may have been their position originally, and that position may have changed, but I did read in preparation for the show that they've got a long relationship, I think 20 plus years. There were times where she supported them when he was running for president. He supported her when she was running for attorney general. So rather than guessing, I would say I'm glad they made the endorsement, and I think that that's going to continue to buoy her and her progress forward.
Well, that's my point, Michael. If you got a long relationship, damn it, you should have been a lot quicker.
Well, you know, one thing I've learned about politics, Roland, is that everything doesn't happen the way you think it's going to happen or on the time frame it's going to happen. You know, people, Sunday, people were saying, oh, Senator Schumer and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries didn't endorse. And then I think it was between Tuesday and Wednesday, they endorsed. They said, oh, Nancy Pelosi didn't endorse. Monday, Nancy Pelosi endorses. Then we see here the Obamas endorse in a rather dramatic fashion because it's part of a campaign ad. So now I think it's also important to understand there was bad blood between Obama and Biden, because Biden felt Obama was trying to push him out. And yeah, you did have people, and I think Obama was one of them, who wanted an open convention, things like this. But what happened Sunday, I think Joe Biden really boxed some people out, and I think Joe Biden really changed the game on his way out, because 20 minutes after he announced on Sunday, after he announced that he was dropping out of the race, he then endorses Vice President Kamala Harris. She spends 10 hours on the telephones on Sunday calling 100 people, locking in delegate votes. So then all the people who were saying, okay, we need to have an open convention, that's out the window, because between Monday and Tuesday, she locked up over 2,500 delegates, pledged delegates. You need 1,976 for the nomination. So now the whole game changed. So even some people who said they want an open convention, they had to concede. So this is good news. This is politics. And it's game on. Bring it.
Well, again, glad they finally did it, and I think you're absolutely right. She had it locked up definitely by Tuesday. Things are rolling in Monday. I'd rather be at the front of the train than the end of the train. I'm just saying. So I think it could have came sooner. Fine. They finally got it. And I certainly hope they're going to be aggressive on the campaign trail, out there campaigning Vice President Kamala Harris. But here's the deal. The reality is, Kelly, the momentum. See, this is why I love when regular, ordinary people start taking over. Guess what? The politicians had to catch up. Win with Black Women Call on Sunday, $45,000, $2 million raised. Win with Black Men, $54,000, $1.4 million raised. Then Tuesday, you had 3,300 Latinas on the call. You had 2,500 South Asian women on the call on Wednesday. Nearly 200,000 white women on the call last night. They raised $8.5 million, may hit $10 million. Now you got, of course, you got Black gay folk on the call today. You got Gen Z on the call. You got the Howard folks on the call. You got Michael Skolnick doing white dudes for Harris on the call as well. And so this is awesome, because this is not driven by the campaign. Yes, Biden made the decision not to run. He endorsed Kamala Harris, but this is the excitement of people. And that's why I said yesterday, James Carville, shut the hell up about all Democrats, all elated, that's going to go away. No, you ride the way. What did Martin Long say? You ride this sucker until the wheels fall off. That's what you're supposed to do.
It is what you're supposed to do. And I see the momentum, and all I can say is I hope that it continues to move, because that's always the point of contention when it comes to Democrats and our plight to get things moving, when excitement can fade. So I understand what you said about the other guy who thinks that it's going to die off. I don't think it's going to die off. I just want, people to be cautious and keep going, be disciplined in the momentum to keep going. It's not like we raise all this money and we're done. No, like, this money is getting spent as we speak. We're going to have to keep donating. We're going to have to keep doing these calls, regular donations. That's how this campaign is going to keep moving. That's how we're going to get her into the White House. So that is the point of all of this. It's not about, oh, we got a Black woman in there, let's just get excited. No, she's here to do the work. And we need to put money behind her so she can get into the position for her to do the work.
Roland?
I don't want cautious. I want folk going hard. I love how folk are saying, wait a minute, we can mobilize our own group. We don't have to sit here and wait for somebody. That's what makes organic things real. That's actually what makes movements amazing, because people are just going and going. And look, I think this thing is going to continue, because they're going to need the kind of momentum. And what this is doing is driving fundraising, it's driving interest, it's going to be driving donations. Listen, the women for Harris were supposed to have their call on Sunday. So many white women last night signed up, along with the other women. They had to move that sucker to Monday because they had to figure out how to deal with the capacity. So there's nothing greater when platforms got to figure out, damn, we got to get bigger. like they broke Zoom last night. All these platforms are now like, damn, we got to increase our capacity. We're going to hear from Khalil Thompson a little bit later, Win with Black Men. So they've already told Zoom, yo, y'all need to be prepared. We might have upwards of 50,000 people on Sunday for our weekly call. That, to me, is what I think is about great organic moments.
I think you're 100% right. I love that you mentioned that. And I think that's terrifying, the Trump campaign. I think that first call with Black women had something like 47,000 women within, like a few hours, if I remember correctly. I think it was the same day as the announcement. I saw many women that I know posted.
Yeah, it was Sunday. It was Sunday night.
Sunday night, yeah. So, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad that it's going to turn into this momentum, or is already this momentum, and I'm sure that momentum is scaring the Trump campaign, because you already see him equivocating about debating, and I'm not going to do it until there's an official nominee. Well, I thought, homie, you said you wanted it anytime, anywhere, right? So I think that they're running scared, and I think that mobilization has really shown what the energy is looking like right now. In fact, I think her TikTok page now has something like 1 million followers within a very short period of time.
No.
More than that?
2 million.
2 million.
2 million.
I saw it on CNN last night and it said 1 million. But in any event, that's extraordinary growth in a very short period of time. So I'm excited about the excitement. And I think that shows that this is something that we were talking about on the show, whether there was kind of a latent excitement that hadn't come out yet because of Mr. Biden still being in the race. We all had different opinions on whether the propriety of him getting out or staying in, but there was obviously an energy that was waiting to burst forth, and it has come forth, and people are really, really supporting Kamala Harris. I'm glad to see it. I think last night the Bison PAC had a call and raised something like $200,000 in a very short period of time. So I'm glad to see the mobility, and this shows what we can do as people when we really put it on our back and get to it.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the energy is amazing. Folks are jazzed up. And Matt,
yes.
Michael, Matt said something I think is important. When he said the Trump folks should be scared, and they should be, because the one thing that you don't want, and the polls are already coming out. Swing state polls are already coming out. Gap is being closed. Harris is actually up in 2 of the 3 states. And so what you never want your opposition to get knocked down and then get up, meet the A count, and start swinging back. And so they're now in a free fall because you got crazy J.D. Vance. All of his nutty stuff is coming up, saying how he wants parents to pay lower taxes. He doesn't believe that people who don't have children should be participating in the electoral process. And first of all, y'all don't look at us. You the fools who didn't vet that idiot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So there's a number of things here. First of all, Roland, I was on the Win with Black Men call Monday night. Thanks so much for putting it together. I also donated. I was one of the 20,000 African-American men on the call. I shared the information on my social media platforms. The one suggestion I would make is for the next one, Roland, have some Sigmas on talking, like somebody like me, okay? Because I ain't seen any Sigmas. But, I'll forgive you this time.
First of all, let me be real clear. If we throw a rock, we can hit an alpha in leadership. Don't blame us for that. That we can't throw a rock and hit a Sigma in leadership.
Oh, Roland, you can hit Sigma in leadership as well.
Michael. Now, Michael, it ain't that many Sigmas in leadership compared to alphas.
You can talk to Sigmas that you have on this show dealing with politics, like myself, okay? But let's continue.
That's one.
That's
one.
It only takes a few of us.
Okay.
To rock this badass stuff. That's all you need. All right.
Listen, don't hate because alphas rule. You need to finish your little comment because all you're doing is embarrassing yourself.
No, come on. I'm gonna make it live. But so you talk about enthusiasm. When I was in sales decades ago, 20 years ago, we had a saying, enthusiasm is contagious. What we're seeing now, I was looking at an article from TheGuardian.com today that was interviewing Gen Zers, and they were saying they were not going to vote in this election for president, but now that Vice President Kamala Harris is a candidate for president, they are engaged and they're going to vote. And this causes people to actually study policy, to understand how policies impact them. What happens in Washington, D.C., how it impacts you on the ground level. And people want to get engaged, want to get involved. And this reminds me also of the modern day civil rights movement, where, contrary to popular belief, Dr. King was not the leader of the modern day civil rights movement. You had grassroots movements, you had other organizations as well. So you had people organizing at the grassroots level in the modern day civil rights movement, as well as today. But J.D. Vance is scared. Donald Trump is scared. The Trump-Vance campaign already said a few weeks ago that J.D. Vance would not debate Vice President Kamala Harris in the vice presidential debate. Okay, now you have Donald Trump backpedaling, and the reason why he's backpedaling is because criminals are usually afraid of prosecutors, and she is going to prosecute the hell out of Donald Trump, and he knows it, and he's scared, and he should be scared. So we're in it to win it. Is Harris and whoever she picks as her nominee, but we have to mobilize, engage like never before, because this election right here is the most consequential election since the 1876 presidential election that brought about the end to Reconstruction. So this is about life or death.
Yep, and I'm glad you mentioned Dr. King. He was an alpha. All right, y'all, got to go to a break and come back. Gen Z is having...
Williams was a Sigma.
Gen Z, you don't want to start. You don't want to start. You do not want to start. The roll call is too deep, son. It's too deep. You know this. All right, when we come back, Gen Z is having their political call. We'll talk to them next about that right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, let's go back to our panel. Michael, the point that Mark Morial made there about good economic news. I was reading a story earlier today that said that Biden Harris have not been able to really break through with their message when it comes to economics. I think this is an opportunity for Vice President Harris to actually do that, to really create a cohesive message. I got one graphic that showed that the manufacturing that has happened under Biden-Harris, we haven't seen this level of new manufacturing in 100 years.
Manufacturing jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Absolutely. We got the news, I think it was yesterday, the economy grew by 2.8%. So, yeah, and I think the Harris campaign, I think, is going to be better at utilizing social media than the Biden-Harris campaign. And you've got to utilize social media, TikTok videos, Instagram videos, Facebook, YouTube, all of that to flood the zone to counter the misinformation and disinformation that's out here. I was looking at the chat here on YouTube, and somebody said we want tangible policies from Harris and things like this. You got tangible policies from Biden-Harris, $16 billion for HBCUs, record number of funding for HBCUs, 2.6 million jobs for African Americans, the fastest growth of African American businesses in 30 years. You had an Imhotep anti-lynching bill, the first anti-lynching bill in 122 years. You had 15 million jobs created. You had the lowest unemployment rate in April 2023 at 4.8% for African Americans. You had 1 million African American children lifted out of poverty because of the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that no Republican
Right. But the point I'm making there is, that is a lot there. But you have to create a cogent message that breaks through where people go, oh, I get it. And the problem is that's what they have not been able to do.
They haven't been able to do it, and you have to direct people to where the information is. Put it where the goats can get it, as my frat brother Joe Madison said, our ancestor Joe Madison, my frat brother Roland. Put it where the goats can get it as well. So, and then an election is binary. And one of the mistakes that people make is they just look at the Democrats, but they don't compare that to the policies of the Republicans. The Biden-Harris administration is immensely, exponentially greater than the Trump-Pence administration. Okay, so you have to compare those policies as well. And oftentimes here on this show, I tell people, if you just Google how have the policies of the Biden-Harris administration helped the African American community, the first thing that comes up is a 36-page document that walks you through policy by policy at whitehouse.gov that shows you the evidence. Okay, I would say the Harris campaign needs to take each one of those topics, make a TikTok video out of it.
Well, as Joe Madison's mentor, Dick Gregory, my frat brother, would say, yes, you actually have to give them the right information. Just letting you know. Listen, communication, being able to communicate is a huge part of this. You can't make it complicated, Kelly. You got to make it simple. You don't have time to explain folk in 20, 30 minutes. And so I think the Harris team really has to figure out what that message is going to be, speaking on the economic issues, because people still, yes, all these other things are happening, growth of the economy, all those things, but if people are still being impacted by rent, as I said to Mark, by food prices, things like those lines, that's what they're feeling on an everyday basis.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this on your show ad nauseum, that Democrats can have to get off of their high horse when it comes to communications and really meet people where they are and start talking in layman's terms, meeting people where they are when they communicate what exactly is going on in the administration. Because, like everybody on the panel has said today and in panels past, the Biden-Harris administration has done so much. And it is unfortunate that it is only communicated in an infographic right now in order to push Harris to the finish line of the presidency. But again, we're here now. Something like you said earlier, I've been at the Urban League conference all week, and Representative Jasmine Crockett was recently on a panel today. And one of her big things that she said that pushed her to the finish line in her campaign when she was running for her state position back in the day was she talked to people experiencing homelessness, and small acts of kindness such as giving them water pushed them to vote for her. She didn't realize that they were registered voters too, and they listened to the issues too, and they voted for her because for the first time in a very long time, if ever, there was a politician who listened to them and actually cared about what they cared about. And those are the types of communication styles that need to happen up and down the ballot, certainly with the Harris administration. We're speaking that into existence, the Harris campaign, right? Where we need to meet people where they are, and we need to listen to them, not just hearing them to hear or, passive aggressive listening. We need to actively listen to what people have to say and incorporate that into our communication styles moving forward.
And the reality here, Matt, that is, listen, by having a different candidate with a different style, I think you're absolutely going to see a different type of messaging. We've already seen it for Harris for president.
I think you're right. And I think she's at a huge advantage because as lawyers, especially prosecutors who have to prove cases, most of the time, those lawyers are able to effectively, in a bullet point or in short succession, explain to people why their case should be proven, and in this instance, in a policy context. Vicky Kirkendall in the comments on YouTube said basically exactly what I was thinking. I think their messaging not only needs to make it layman's terms and as simple as possible, but that messaging needs to correlate to quality of life issues. I think the most effective messaging is if they say, our policy is X, and what that ends up being is X more dollars in your pocket, or X other program that you're able to avail yourself of to make your life better. And I know they've done that to some extent, but one of the things I've seen people complaining about is we don't really know what Kamala's done. She doesn't really know what her plan is. She hasn't told us her plan. I think the messaging going forward should be as direct as possible, and it should be directly tied to quality of life issues because, as we've talked about on the show before, there's a strange phenomenon in this country right now where a lot of people feel the economy is in much worse shape than it actually is by all objective metrics. And I think one of the ways to close that gap is to say this policy turns into this much more money in your pocket, in this program, or that correlates to this other government benefit you want to make use of. I think that connection is the necessary part of the messaging because that will put into people's minds the proverbial chicken in the pot they can expect from her administration as opposed to what Mr. Trump is planning to do if he's reelected.
All right, then. Matt, Kelly, Michael, I appreciate y'all being on today's panel. Thank you so very much.
Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, so you can register for this full 12-week online history course. And I'm getting ready to, as soon as I finish this broadcast, we're going to jump in the class of my online school and start teaching class number 1. So these classes will be on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're running a little behind schedule today, so I had to get everything set up. But go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, scroll down the page. You'll see the second class that I teach, Black Resistance Movements, Christopher Columbus, the Haitian Revolution, and Black Power Movement, 1492 to 1968. We do that on Sundays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So click right here to register for the second course. You can register for the course bundle for both classes on sale for $120. Click right here to register for the course bundle. This content is PG-13, so you can use this with your children also. I don't do a lot of cursing. It's nothing like that. It's a very visual class. So we have 200 slides in the PowerPoint presentation, video clips that we look at, book references, 80 to 100 articles. And then, we have class number 1 of Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Click right here to register for that. And the class lesson plan is here for the full course. You can download the class lesson plan. Okay, so there's a ton of information that we cover in this class. I'm just giving you a brief overview. Okay, so have you all learned anything so far? How do you all like this type of information? And who still needs to register for this class? So when we scroll down, we look at some of the other content that we'll cover. We'll look at archaeological discoveries that keep causing the scientists and archaeologists and paleontologists to push the timelines back. And these are archaeological discoveries that show an African presence in parts of the world earlier than people thought. Okay. So there was one good article, Recap Humans Are 100,000 Years Older Than We Thought. This is from the New York Post. We'll look at the lost city. There were 2 lost cities of Egypt. One, dazzling Aten, which was discovered a few years ago, but then also Tanis Heraklion, which was discovered about 2013.